Hello and welcome to Raise Your Salary Yet Get More Personal Time Off. Webinar number 2. Walk the Tightrope. Before we get started, can I request you to turn off all interruptions such as Facebook, Messenger, email, so that you can spend the next few minutes with total focus and get the best out of this session. Also, can I request you to download the exercise from the link that you see on your screen, positiveproductivityprofits.com/ex2. So please download the exercise, but don't read it yet, because it's best you read it at the time that we actually do the exercise. So download the exercise. If possible, print it and keep it face down, and don't read it yet. So I'm giving you a couple of minutes to do that before we get started with the main talk. All right. I'm assuming you have downloaded your exercise by now. As you know, this is a set of 3 webinars that I'm doing, all on the topic of raise your salary yet get more personal time off. The first webinar was on the topic get recognition for your work. And this webinar, the second, is walk the tightrope. We will have one more webinar in the following week. Walk the tightrope. In this session, what we are going to cover is how not to be torn between the dreams that we have and our actual life. What this means is, what are our expectations from work, from life, and what's happening in reality, and how to bring it closer to what we want. That is, how to get work achievement along with fulfillment. That is, how to walk the tightrope. And in the end, we will do an exercise of how we can define balance in life and how can we start balancing our life. Now, as you know, this whole series is about raise your salary yet get more personal time off. So last time we spoke about recognition at work. Today we are talking of the balance part, so that we know how we can get more personal time off. What is the tightrope? What is the challenge that we are facing? If we think about it, why do we work hard in the first place? Just think of it for a minute. Why do you work hard? What is it that you want at the end of it? You want to enjoy work? You want to get recognition from work? You want to make money and possibly use that money to buy things that make you happy. Buy things that make your loved ones happy. So basically, we try to achieve at work to get fulfillment in life. But somehow, after all the things that we are able to buy, after we work so hard and make the money that we want, somehow we realize that more things is not equal to fulfillment. We need something else. So what is that? And remember, we are talking all of this from the context of how to raise salary at the same time have more personal time off. I'm reminded by what Stephen Covey said. He had given an example of climbing the ladder. Sometimes we are so busy climbing the ladder of life, we spend years and years and years climbing the ladder very efficiently, putting in hard work. But when we reach the top of the ladder, it's at that time we realize that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. It's quite a shocking realization to have towards the end of our life. So we want to make sure that our ladder is against the right wall. A statement that Stephen Covey said, "No man ever wished on his deathbed that he had spent more time in the office." Now, this is not saying that you should not work hard, that you should not spend time in the office. But what this is saying is that all you're doing in life? Do you have something else that you're doing? Should you be doing something beyond work? So I came across this book by Tony Schwartz, an amazing book in which he speaks about the 4 important dimensions in life. And unless we are able to balance those 4 dimensions in life, we cannot have that fulfillment that we are talking about. So we need to walk the tightrope between all these dimensions. We need to know what we want in these dimensions so that we can plan our life to make sure by the end of life we have climbed up the ladder that is leaning against the right wall. The first dimension, physical. Now the physical dimension is talking about our work, making money, doing all the things that help us in our career. Physical also refers to physical fitness and health. How physically fit are we? Are we going to be bedridden in a few years' time? Are we having high energy levels now and in future so that we can use all the talents that we have in the best way? Now we find that physical is so important because all the other areas that we're going to talk about now are in a way related to physical, because unless we have the energy at a physical level, we are not able to do things in the other dimensions. Sometimes we think of just working hard, but working hard also requires energy, requires concentration, and all that is influenced by our physical fitness, health, and our energy levels. The second dimension, emotional. You might have heard of the term emotional intelligence or EQ, that is emotional quotient. Research has shown that as you grow up in your career, up to 85% of your growth depends on EQ and not IQ. What does that really mean? Does it mean that we don't need IQ? We don't need intelligence? Definitely not. But the point is, in whichever organization you are, in whichever business you are, whichever area of work you are, your peers at your level, your colleagues, either at work or competitors if you are in business, have about the same IQ as you. What differentiates you, your career, your business is EQ. Now what is EQ? EQ is the ability to be able to understand our own emotions and the effect it has on both ourselves and others. So basically it's talking of relationships. How am I relating with others at work? How am I relating with others at home? How am I relating with friends? And last but not least, how are we relating with ourselves? Are we positive? Do we have the drive, or are we impatient and negative? How do we relate to ourselves? Do we have confidence, courage, character, competence? Now, the question to ask is, am I happy with my relationships at work? Am I happy with my relationships at home? Am I happy with sufficient relationships with sufficient friends? And am I happy with the way that I relate with myself? Let's go on to the dimension 3, and that is mental. Mental is talking of intellectual growth and fulfillment. Am I in my life doing work that is intellectually satisfying? Am I happy with the quality of work I'm doing, the type of work I'm doing? Or am I doing a mundane job which is repeated, which is fine as long as I'm happy with it? I may be happy doing a regular mundane job, and that's fine. Whereas some people are looking to do innovative things every day, which is not possible in most jobs. The question to ask ourselves is, are we satisfied with our level of intellectual growth and fulfillment? That's one dimension of mental. The other way to look at it is, how able are we to focus? Are we able to spend 60 minutes without distraction on one task with laser focus? Or do we get distracted and because of that get ineffective? How are my thoughts? Am I able to focus my thoughts? When I'm at work, do I spend a lot of time thinking of things at home? And when I'm at home, do I spend a lot of time thinking of things at work? Am I able to focus at work and at home? Am I able to de-stress, or am I continuously working hour after hour, minute after minute without having time to de-stress? Am I able to take my mind off work and focus on something else so that I can de-stress? So these are some of the aspects that we want to look at mental, the mental dimension. Now we're going to the fourth dimension of walking the tightrope, which is spiritual. What do we mean by spiritual? At work, it means, is there a purpose with which we do our personal work? Is there a purpose with which the organization does its work? Is there a purpose behind the project that I'm working on right now? What are the values that I hold dear to me? You might know that the largest corporate failures in the world, if you look at it across the world and also in India, some of the largest failures in corporations have not been because of lack of talent or ability, but it has been because of some lack in purpose, in values. If you think of the global meltdown in 2008, that was also something to do with ethics, and it has not much to do about just the capability of people on Wall Street, but it has to do a lot with purpose. So the question is, are we working only for profit, or also are we working with a purpose? Are we working with values? Okay, one way of looking at spiritual, because if I have a sense of purpose, if my team members have a sense of purpose, the effect on work is going to be very high. We're going to have much higher quality work, and the other benefit is we can do much more work in lesser time, because we do not make mistakes and we do not have to spend time fixing mistakes. Outside work, what's the spiritual context? We all want to live beyond our lives, meaning we want to do things that matter beyond our lifetime, such as helping the needy, doing things that will last beyond our lifetime. Okay? And in life, clarity about our life purpose. What is it we really want to achieve in life? At the end of life, actually work is part of life. Work is not all of life. So what is it we want in life? And also personally, what is our stand spiritually in our spiritual walk with God, to those who believe in God? So just to summarize, the four dimensions, PEMS: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. When we think of all this, actually at the back of our mind, we know all these things. There's nothing new about any of these four areas. Our inner voice, the inner animal in us, already knows this. But somehow, our busyness in life and the so many things that crowd our life, they push all these things to the back of our thoughts. So very often our mind is consumed only by work. Now, is that a good thing? Being consumed only by work? I don't think so. Again, the point is not that we should not be focused at work, we should not think hard about work. That's not the point. The point is, when I am working, I need to be able to work with laser focus and get the maximum done in minimum time. And I also need to have time to think about things other than work. So, let's do a short exercise. This exercise, we are going to identify the balance of our life and try to work around it. In my own life, I found at a certain stage in my life, because I was working in a global environment and customers were across the globe, we used to have calls with our customers after our regular working hours. Now, this is something that one cannot fight against because that's the way things are. We are living in a flat world and we are working across geographies, across time frames. So what happened was, morning I would go to work and was busy at work till the end of the day. But after the end of the regular working hours, there were still calls with customers. So there were some scheduled calls during the week, but it came to a stage where almost every single day there happened to be unscheduled calls which were taking away time every single day of my week. So for example, when I was getting back from work, driving back after a hard day's work, I would get a call from the customer or from some person who is working close to the customer, and they had questions and things to be discussed. And invariably every day when I got back home, I just saw my wife and children from a distance, said hi to them, and went and had to connect my laptop, check the mails, continue on the calls, reply to the mails. And by the time all this got done and I got back to my family, my children had gone to sleep. So for me, this was quite a challenge. So I had to see how to work around it. Now, different people work around it in different ways. You will have to figure out what is your way of fixing this. This exercise is going to help you to prioritize things in life so that you spend a few minutes thinking about what really matters to you. Okay? So, I'm assuming you have downloaded the exercise. If you have not, this is the place where you can download it. positiveproductivityprofits.com/ex2. So in case you have not downloaded it, please take a moment to download it now. All right. So just to give a summary or background of this exercise, we know that we can't have the cake and eat it too. Now I'm reading all this from the exercise that you have. So if the font is a little too small, don't worry. You have all this on your exercise that you have downloaded. So we know that we can't have the cake and eat it too, meaning we usually can't get everything that we want. We need to be able to compromise, to balance based on our values, based on the importance of physical, emotional, mental and spiritual areas of our life. We often need to be willing to give up some things to get some other things. It's not that you can't have everything, but sometimes you need to make compromises, and you need to make those compromises based on your values. So that's what we're trying to do now. Actually, in the next webinar, I'll be talking of how you can get the most out of your work, how can you reduce your time at work so that you get more personal time off. But right now what I'm focusing on is how can we know what is important to us. Now if everything is important to us, actually nothing is important to us. So we need to be able to prioritize between different areas of life. So when it comes to push versus shove, we know where our priorities lie. Okay. So this exercise will help you think through which areas in life are more important than others to you. All cannot have the same priority. You need to decide so that you will be better able to walk the tight rope, to be able to achieve better and also get better fulfillment. So to achieve on one side and get fulfillment on the other side. The first question is the prize, meaning what do you prize most? What do you treasure most? What are the most important goals for you in each of these areas? So if you can take a couple of minutes writing down the top 1 or 2 goals that you have in your physical dimension. Meaning, are you happy with your health? Is there something that you want to do regarding your health, your fitness? Are you exercising regularly? Are you getting sufficient rest, sufficient sleep? How's your diet? Do you need to make any changes in your diet? How's your focus, energy levels? I'll give you a few seconds to do that. So right now you just need to write bullet points. Later when you have the time, you can go and redo this exercise, filling in more details. Right now just put the top 1 or 2 goals that you have in your physical dimension of life. Okay, so let's go on to the next dimension, which is emotional. So what are your top goals? What do you prize most on the emotional front? Relationship with your spouse, time with your family, better relationship with your boss, better relationship with your team members, your colleagues, your customers, your vendors, more time with friends, more quality time with all of these people. Or maybe it is just how you see yourself, how do you react to yourself? Are you bitter too much? Bitter with what life has given you? Are you negative? You need to change the way that you relate with yourself, your emotions with yourself. Alright, so let's go on to the third dimension, which is mental, intellectual. So are you doing the type of work that you like? Sometimes we may not get the type of work, the intellectual work that we really want, but we are satisfied with it. So that's fine. It's not that we have to go and look for the most innovative job in the world, but if we are happy with our intellectual work, that's fine. So is there anything else that you need to think? Are there areas that you have to develop your skills, technical knowledge? What else do you need to work on? Mental, intellectual area. Let's go on to the next, the last dimension, which is spiritual. What is it you want to do with your own life? Are you clear about where your ladder should be when you reach the end of your life? What are your goals beyond work, outside work? What are you planning to do to leave a legacy, to leave something behind after your time on this earth is done? Or the other thing could be, are you working with a sense of purpose in your current job? Are your team members working with a sense of purpose in your current job? If you're in business, are you having the sense of purpose of why you're doing this? What is the benefit you're bringing to your customers? What's the value you're bringing to your customers? How your products or service are really helping your customer and your customer's customer, because that's where your customer makes the money. Second, let's go on to the second question. The first question we looked at what is the prize, meaning what is the treasure, what are our goals in these important areas. We are now looking at the price, Price, which means what is the price you are willing to pay to get the prize, the treasures that you want. For example, there are some of the examples, you would have your own. Some people may be willing to give up some of their health to get the next promotion. That's fine. If that's fine with you, you give yourself a period of time, 6 months, okay, I'm going to work extra and I'm not really going to have so much rest, but I'm going to do it because it's important for my career and I'm going to do it. But that's a conscious decision. Some others may say, I'm willing to give up some of my career growth to get more time with my family, to have improved family relationships. So what are the things that are important to you as you look at your goals, your prizes, which are more important than the others for you? So where the rubber meets the road, where push comes to shove, which would you be willing to compromise to get the other thing? And that's again a conscious decision. It's not the spur of the moment. So we need to think through it right now. So take a couple of moments to do that. And putting this down will help you to practically do the tightrope walk of balancing between the different dimensions of our life. Alright, I hope you have put down high level priorities. You can spend more time with it later and revise your exercise. So the final question is, based on all this that you have thought through now, what are you going to do differently in the areas of physical, emotional, mental and spiritual areas of your life, so that you can do this balancing, you can do the walking, the tight rope? What are you going to do different? And this, I feel, is one of the most important questions you need to answer, and sometimes it's not easy to answer, but I would really encourage you to spend a few moments to think through what you're going to do differently so that you're able to handle the balancing of life in a better way. Alright, I'm assuming you have got some thoughts around it. So, this brings us to the end of this call. And I would encourage you to go back and spend more time doing this exercise. Maybe print out a fresh exercise form and redo this exercise in more detail, because this is going to give you a lot of clarity and help you in focusing in the right areas of life. So what are the next steps? We're going to have one more and the third free webinar the following week. Please go and sign up for it right at this place, the place where you got the exercise. It's also got a link where you can sign up for the third free webinar. positiveproductivityprofits.com/ex2. Also, if you have any questions on this topic, please feel free to email me and let me know. So thank you once again for being on the call. It's been great having you. Hope you have got some benefit out of this, and look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Bye.